And it's better late than never here on Building Bridges with Steve and Melissa.
It is indeed. Good Wednesday morning to you.
And we are here at the Palatial Crossover Radio Studios in beautiful Oklahoma City.
We are.
And we're here to drop some knowledge on you.
Right. So, Steve, how's your week going?
My week's going pretty good. You know, I had a late night last night. I was staying up to watch election results, and probably was up later than I needed to be. But you know, we soldier on, we carry on. We're here for the people. We're here for the people.
You're our people.
For our wonderful crossover radio listening audience.
Indeed.
Because marriages matter.
Right.
And so many people are in a marriage and they just feel like they're just slogging through mud. It's just so hard and there's so much work to do. And today we're here to talk about some simple things that you can do that are going to make your marriage better and easier. And not everything is building the Eiffel Tower or erecting the pyramids. Sometimes it's just some little tiny changes that don't take hardly any effort or any time or any money at all, and you can start seeing some results.
I think sometimes when people get their marriage in trouble, they have this little tendency to say, well, my marriage is in trouble, and so consequently, you know, it's either too much work to right the ship, or, oh, well, it's hopeless, or, we hear this all the time. Oh, marriage is such hard work. And I'm just like, it doesn't have to be.
It's amazing when you do some little things that promote the good in each other and let the other one know you recognize them. I saw that mattered to me, that those things add up pretty quickly, almost more, I think, than the negative stuff adds up.
Right.
And you can turn a tide in a marriage pretty quickly. At least you can get it. You can certainly get it from out of the gutter into pretty good.
Right. And I think it's important. I think that I really want to dispel the myth that marriage is so hard and marriage is all work and marriage is I think in a lot of the world, especially like in media and places like that, they really work hard to make marriage out to be something that's kind of a trap. Can you think of any sayings about marriage that sort of really undermine the value of marriage? For instance, what I'm thinking about is, oh yeah, I got to go home to the old ball and chain.
Oh, that's the worst. That's the worst. It's equating marriage with prison.
Mm-hmm.
Something that you're sentenced to for.
Right.
Oh, I got life with no chance for parole. That's ridiculous.
Right.
What happened to your better half?
Right. And I just think there's so many negative connotations in the world that people forget that marriage is really great, and marriage is fun. I always laugh because Dave Ramsey always says money's fun if you got some, right?
Mm-hmm.
And marriage is good if you do it right, but it's not like digging a trench 20 foot deep every day to do marriage well. It's just a matter of doing some simple things right. People need to be treated like people.
We actually, as in a couple's activity, dug a trench.
We did, with our couple's small group.
Yeah, I mean, this is the stark contrast. You can literally be digging a trench, and it can still be fun if you're with the right person and the right people.
Yeah.
as opposed to feeling like you have to dig a trench every day just to get through the day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not cool. So, so today we want to talk a little bit about some things that we can do, some simple things that we can do to make our marriage better. Again, we don't have to, we're not building the Eiffel Tower. We're not, swimming in the ocean.
We're not reinventing the wheel here.
Right.
And here's the thing is, we've been married for 15 years. We've done it pretty well most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
We know some things. We also understand that there are other people who know things that we don't. So we're always digging around looking for stuff to bring you.
Right, and it hasn't always been uneventful.
Right, and it's funny because we were looking at a bunch of different articles on marriage, and the one of the things that popped up on several lists that I hadn't even thought of, and it's not something that we do particularly well, is go to bed at the same time.
Yeah. We don't do that nearly. We don't do that very well. We're kind of on different schedules a little bit, or for some reason one of us will be still awake and the other will be like, I'm really tired, I'm ready to go to bed. And so, just learning to go to bed at the same time.
Somebody will stay up to watch their Married at First Sight programs.
Yeah, sometimes I stay up later than Steve, so
it's research.
I want to watch shows Steve's not all that excited about watching, or sometimes somebody will stay up and watch Thunder on the West Coast, or
it happens a lot.
Yeah, and so, but there's something powerful about just saying, you know what, we are doing this in unity
together.
We're in unity. We're doing the same thing.
And one of the things that we always encourage couples to do is pray together, and it's hard to pray together if you're in separate rooms.
Right.
And if you go to bed at the same time, it gives you that opportunity to pray together. And the other thing that I think a lot of marriage struggle with is sex and intimacy, and that is virtually impossible to do if you're in separate rooms. And so by going to bed together, you increase the chances of A, being able to pray together, and B, being able to be intimate together. And both of those things are healthy and necessary for long-term growth and stability in your relationship.
Absolutely.
So if there's something that is going to grow your marriage and strengthen your marriage, that can only happen if you're in the same place at the same time, doesn't it make sense that you would go to bed together?
Yeah, for sure. And you know what, that it sounds like something that's like, oh well, what does it really matter?
Well, I'm not a 12-year-old. I don't have a bedtime. I can stay up as late as I want. Well, if you do that, then you're pretty much guaranteed to miss out on some stuff.
Yeah. And it's not that you can't. It's just that you miss out on things when you do.
Right. And, here's the other thing. If I come to bed, or if you come to bed 2 hours after I'm gone to bed, what are the chances are that you're going to have to fall asleep despite my snoring?
Well,
it's going to be going way up.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's going to be harder for you to fall asleep.
It is.
If I'm sawing logs. So going to bed at the same time also eliminates that whole they snore so loud problem.
Right.
Which is, one of the hidden benefits of going to bed at the same time.
Yeah. So another thing that we found that we want to talk to you about is walking side by side and holding hands.
This is advice that has foundation in Scripture. Our very first couple's devotional.
Yep, it's called the Hand in Hand.
Hand in Hand.
Devotional. Absolutely. And so, it's funny because we see a lot of couples. I mean, just become an observer of couples. At Walmart, at Crest, at your kids' baseball games. How many couples do you notice that actually walk side by side? As a general rule, one person is charging ahead of the other person. They rarely are side by side. That one of them is always in front, one of them is always behind. you know, it's funny because my great great grandmother, she was, or my grandmother, actually it's my ex-husband's grandmother, but anyway, she had she had a twin sister and another sister, and they all lived together side by side in houses, and everywhere they went, they walked one right behind the other. It was hilarious. They went
like
to the grocery,
ducks,
like cows is what I was thinking. They walked one right behind the other in their little row, and it's funny because couples shouldn't, you know, there's something powerful about just walking side by side, holding each other's hand, that keeps you. There's even a subconscious ability to create unity just by doing that.
one of the things that we ask all the couples that we work with is to come up with a team name.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're hand in hand, walking beside each other instead of one getting way out in front of the other or one lollygagging behind, is it reminds you that you're together,
Right.
that you're on the same team, that you're going towards the same goal.
Right.
Even if you're just going from the car to the restaurant, if you're going holding each other's hand, you're going towards the same goal. And reinforcing that is so important, because when you get crossways, the easy thing to do is to start pointing fingers at each other and looking at each other as the enemy, and that's just not the case.
Right. One of my favorite one of my favorite confessions over our marriage is that we would walk hand in hand, contending with the single mind for the glad tidings of the gospel. And so walking hand in hand, holding each other's hand, that physical connection, physical connection releases the good, happy chemicals in your brain anyway. And so it's a great way to release happy chemicals and also.
And who doesn't want happy chemicals?
Right. Who doesn't want to have those happy endorphins in your body floating around? And physical touch.
I feel like my coffee mug releases happy chemicals in my brain every morning.
It's called caffeine.
Oh, that's not a happy chemical? That's not a natural body chemical?
No, that's called caffeine.
And God bless it.
You know, I'm so happy that somebody was walking around in a field one day or a forest and said, "Oh, look." And, I just know Holy Spirit said to them, "See those beans over there? They'd be great if you boiled them," right?
Mm-hmm.
Drank the water. And then somebody said, Holy Spirit said, "Well, you know what would happen if you roasted them, right?
They'd be even tastier."
They'd be even tastier. Well, what about if you roasted them and ground them and boiled them in water? That would be great. Like, Holy Spirit came up with coffee. So, and God bless him for doing that, right?
Hey.
He blesses our life.
He does all the time. What we're going to do right now is we're going to
Shout out to Joy Turner first.
Hey Joy, thanks for joining us. We're going to allow our sponsors to bless us. And this is if you've listened to us before, you know who's first and foremost in our hearts from our sponsors. And so we're going to lead off the show with the dearly beloved folks at Papa Angelo's Pizza, and we'll be back in a flash.
Papa Angelo's in Bethany at 6744 Northwest 39th Expressway has been serving up the best New York-style pizza for 11 years. Dine in, carry out, or have your perfect pizza delivered by calling 405-491-6767. You'll be blown away by the taste of our piping hot, mouth-watering, taste bud-kicking, authentic New York-style pizza. Be sure and check out our complete menu to delight all your taste buds. Papa Angelo's in Jones and Bethany, a pizza experience that will keep you coming back.
Providing quality care for your horses and small animals. Bethany Animal Hospital is located at 4312 North Council. Brooke Vaughn and the staff provide genuine care for your furry family members with the passion to get your animals back in great health. Visit Bethany Animal Hospital at that white-looking house off Council Road, or give them a call at 787-1222. That's 787-1222. It's the expertise care you have grown to expect at Bethany Animal Hospital.
And welcome back to Building Bridges with Steve and Melissa on Crossover Radio.
Shout out to Jacob Kelch, who's watching us. We're so happy that you decided to join us this morning.
Alrighty.
On our Facebook Live. Hey, it's interesting because today we're talking about simple ways to make your marriage work. Things that are not, stressful and torturous and hard to do.
And we're not climbing Mount Everest, people. We're taking little steps that transmit, honor and value to your spouse, and because that's what happens is you get the feeling that you're being taken for granted, and that's when things start getting off the rails. And this is our easy, simple fixes to say, I notice you, I appreciate you, I see that you're doing stuff, I want to be with you.
Right. So let's just review in case you missed the first section of our show. The first one is go to bed at the same time. It's really powerful when you just go to bed together.
And here's the deal. If one of you is a late night person and one of you is an early night person, there's nothing that says you can't, take a little nap in the same room until everybody goes to bed. If you fall asleep in the recliner, while the other person is staying up, and then you go to bed at the same time later than you'd originally planned.
Yeah. But try to make a habit of it. Go to bed at the same time. Hold hands and walk side by side was number 2. We're trying, we can't reach, but
too far apart.
But there's something about the physical connection of just walking side by side, so one person doesn't charge ahead of the other.
Not to mention it's one of the primary needs of women is to have physical touch.
Yep. So holding hands and walking side by side. The next one is, how about if you just hugged your spouse and gave them a kiss every time you saw them? Every time that you came home from work, every time that you connected with them at the office or wherever you're at, when you first see your spouse, what if you gave them a hug and a kiss?
And it's a great way to make your teenage kids uncomfortable, which is always a win.
Right.
And it's funny because as we were going through stuff this morning in show prep, there was another article that we looked at that gave specifics. It said, kiss for at least 30 seconds and hug for at least 2 minutes every day. So that's like, okay, I'm not suggesting that when you hug your wife, you set it up so that your watch is in your line of sight so you can time it out. But it gives you an idea that you just don't. It shouldn't be something that's neglected. And another article we looked at said, kiss your spouse, don't peck them.
Right. And I think that's something that we get in the habit of doing is kind of the drive-by, boop, kiss and bye, and you're gone. And I think there's some value to actually kissing your spouse. And I mean, there's a lot of chemical value. I mean, there's a lot of like my daughter-in-law was telling me yesterday that she had listened to a marriage teacher, and they were talking about the fact that passionate kiss releases testosterone and makes everybody feel better and makes guys feel better and stuff like that. And so kiss your spouse. Don't peck them.
Don't peck them.
Yeah. And so in that physical connection, God created us to be connected and in relationship. He connected us to love each other. I mean, he created us to love each other and connect with each other. And 2 minutes is a long time. You know how I know 2 minutes is a long time, Steve?
How?
Because that's how long my Sonicare toothbrush goes before it shuts off, right? And I can promise you, before I got my Sonicare toothbrush, I never brushed my teeth for 2 minutes, because it's way longer than you think it is. And so just the idea.
Well, and it doesn't need to be 2 minutes every time, but it needs to at least be, cumulatively.
Yeah. But you could hug for 2 minutes at a time. Could you hug for 2 minutes at a time, really? Steve?
Oh, I could. I'm not the
such an easy thing.
I'm not the one that needs to go into endurance training for the hugging department.
Yeah. All of those people who struggle with physical touch and physical connection, maybe you can't start those people out at 2 minutes a time, but
you can start for 2 minutes a day and then work up to 2 minutes per hug.
Right. I always tell I tell wives all the time, you know what? If you send your husband off with a passionate kiss and you greet your husband when he comes home with a passionate kiss, your husband will want to come home every day. And it's simple that a hug and a kiss, and not a drive-by, peck and I'm off to the races. Just a real kiss does wonders for your marriage. So hug and kiss when you see each other, right? Listen, our theory is this: if you have teenage children and they're not saying something like, "Oh my gosh, would you two stop?" or "Would you two get a room?"
Gross.
Go to your room. Gross. You are not doing marriage well.
My theory is that every room in this house is our room.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter what you think.
Right. And so you should just make it a point to make your children feel a little bit uncomfortable as you are affectionate with your spouse. So hugging and kissing is easy, and it's a big deal, and you should do it. So next one is what we call do a weather check every day. Our friends George and Meredith Schaefer are watching.
Hey George, hey Meredith.
Facebook Live, and they do the 4-minute
forecast.
The 4-minute forecast for their ministry, Storm, and they have a drug and alcohol addiction ministry called Storm, and so they do their 4-minute forecast. But you know what? What if you checked in with your spouse a couple of times a day, and just say, "Hey, how's it going?"
We knocked this one out of the park.
We kill this one.
And it says, "I'm thinking about you." It says, "How you're doing matters to me." It also affords you the opportunity, if something is going wrong or if there's a struggle, to pray for your spouse or do something for them. I make a habit of, when I get done with my job, always checking in with you to see if you need anything, whether it's a iced tea or a sandwich or some M&Ms or something. Whatever you need, that way I know I can pick it up on the way home.
Right.
And it's really 30 seconds. It's easy.
And here's the thing. You know what? When you call and do a weather check on your spouse for the day, maybe text them just a couple of times a day. Hey, how's it going, or whatever. If they need to let off some pressure and they're kind of in a bad weather pattern or whatever, to keep it in the weather. Do you see what I did right there?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Meteorologist over there.
Anyway,
Emily Sutton.
I did that for the storm people, right? But if they're in a storm, you know what? Sometimes just giving them the ability to vent about what's going on and then replying with something encouraging helps their day get better. And it makes you, if your spouse is happy, your marriage is going to be a whole lot happier. For sure.
And one thing we want to do is we want to make a difference, differentiate between checking in on them and checking up on them. What are you doing? Where are you? How long are you going to be there?
Send me a picture of where you're at so I can know what you're doing.
Yeah, those are things that are gonna grate on your spouse. They're not going to edify your spouse. They're not going to make them feel loved and included and cared for. It's going to make them feel like they're one of the kids, which is never a good idea.
It's funny because
you're married to a grown-up.
When our daughter was a teenager, and she would say, "Hey, I'm going to so-and-so's house," and I would always say, "Are their parents home?" And she would say, "Yeah," and I'd say, "Okay, when you get to their house, text me a picture, text me a selfie with you and the parents, so I know the parents are home." And that was my way of checking up on her, which is way different than checking in on your spouse.
Right, and she's a child, and
Your
we're a
spouse is an
grown-up,
adult.
and it's okay, but we don't do that with our spouse because it says, "I don't trust you," which is never a growth attitude in a relationship.
And you know what? Let's just stop for a second and talk a little bit about rehabbing a trust violation. Because if you've had a trust violation in your marriage, there might be a period of time as you're rebuilding that trust that you do need them to, that your spouse will feel more comfortable if you allow them to check up on you.
Yep.
So but it shouldn't be. That should not be the norm. If you haven't had a trust violation in your marriage, that should not be the normal. You should not always be checking up.
Right.
You should just be checking in. Hey, how? Because the difference between checking up and checking in says, "Hey, I care about you, and I'm concerned about your well-being. Like, I want to make sure that everything's going okay." and checking up on you means I need to know what you're doing and where you're at. And so
what you're doing, how long you're going to do it, where you're doing it at, who you're doing it with.
right. And if those are the questions you're asking, you're doing it wrong, folks. Do better. Grow. Learn. The next one is...
Oh, hold on.
Hold on.
Hold on.
We have a question?
No, we have a commercial break.
Is it time for a commercial break already?
It is 8:29 Central
Hold
Time
slowly, Batman.
in beautiful OKC, America.
Yeah.
And we love coming to you every Wednesday morning, and we love the folks that help us bring this to you. So hang on. We'll be back before you know it. And here's a word from our sponsors.
Hey, this is Coach Coleman, and I'm the play-by-play voice for your Bethany Broncos. I know there's a lot of guys out there who are trying to kick that nasty tobacco dipping habit, and I know most guys need a little energy boost to try to get them through a long day. And I'm here to give you a solution for both. Grinds Coffee Pouches. Grinds are coffee-filled pouches infused with your favorite flavors, such as wintergreen, mint, vanilla, and many more. All of the ingredients in Grinds are 100% safe for consumption and will add a pep to your step. So head on over to getgrinds.com and use our promo code CMI15 to get 15% off your order today. Again, that's getgrinds.com and use the promo code CMI15 to get 15% off of your order. It's time to rise and grinds with Grinds today.
Experience a new look at H2 Salon, located at 5808 Northwest 63rd in MacArthur. H2 Salon is locally owned and operated, featuring experienced hairstylists, such as Hair by Haley Hayes, specializing in men's, women's, and kids' hair. Create the color and cut you've been waiting for. They also offer facial waxing and chemical services. Booths are still available at H2 Salon. Walk-ins are always available, or you can set an appointment by calling 728-1122. That's 728-1122.
Hello, 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 and welcome back, everybody. It's a wonderful Wednesday morning here in Oklahoma City, and I hope it's a wonderful morning wherever you're listening to or watching our Facebook Live from, because it is a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
And if you are not nearby, you can still tune us in every Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock by getting the Crossover Radio app.
You can download that from your Google Play Store or your iTunes Store, wherever you get your apps from.
And you can load us on your laptop or home computer by going to the Crossover Radio Facebook page and checking us out on Facebook Live. Most of the programming that we do here at Crossover Radio finds its way there, so you can check in on us. You can check in on, the Robbie Show. You can check in on
the
Thunder Guys, Third and One, the OT, all sorts of shows. And so anytime you've got a free moment, pull up the Crossover Radio Facebook page, see what's going on, or fire up the app.
Right. So today, on this wonderful Wednesday, we should just maybe start calling our show the Wonderful Wednesday Wedding
Wisdom. Wonderful Wednesday Wedding Wisdom.
Ugh. Anyway, so today we're talking about simple things that make your marriage great. Right?
And I want to get back real quick to one of the staples of the show, and that is the bonus round, which we haven't done in a while because we've had some guests and we've plowed through some topics.
Yep.
There are a lot of simple things you can do for your bonus kids. One of the things that always sticks out to my mind is this was early on in our marriage, and I asked Melissa what she wanted for Valentine's Day.
Yep. And
she said, I want you to take Mariah out for a date. So she knows what it's like to be treated well. So it is crucial, especially when your kids are younger, that you find time for just them.
Right.
You don't ever want your bonus kids to feel like they are an accessory to the marriage. You want them to feel part of the family, that they matter as much as their birth parent does. And
So one of the simple things you can do is put on your calendar some individual time with each one of your children, each one of your bonus children, and make that time just between the two of you really special.
yep, you're going to create memories, you're going to develop bonds, you're going to build trust, you're going to convey that you love them as much as you love their parent.
Yep. So that's a really important thing, because you know what, bonus families can be a little messy sometimes, but if you do some simple things and you do them consistently over time, they make a big difference. And I think that's one of the things that we're talking about today when we talk about simple things that make your marriage great, is just the concept that doing the simple things over time add up. If you put 1 spoon of sugar in a bowl, but you did it consistently every 5 minutes for 10 years, pretty soon you'd have a lot of sugar in your bowl, right? And
People seem to think that
that's what Steve does with his coffee.
Exactly. They think that I put a spoonful of sugar in my coffee every 5 minutes, but that's not true. I put several tablespoons of sugar in at the beginning, and then I don't have to add any more later. One of the things that I would really encourage the folks out there, if you are in a blended family situation and you are struggling, there are classes that are available. There are folks who have walked down the road you've walked down. We've done it. Our kids are almost all grown and gone, but we went through it, and it was really difficult for a long time, but we made it work, and now we have really good relationships with our kids.
Right.
And
it wasn't always easy, and it didn't happen overnight. And I think the older your children are, the harder it is.
Yep.
And our boys were older; they were teenagers by the time Stephen and I got married. But so the older it is, the older your kids are, the harder it is. But it's still absolutely worth the effort.
If you were in a struggle, get some help. Find a class. Go to a counselor, or life coach, and get some help with that.
Absolutely.
Because you can create fractures in a relationship with a bonus child that could affect you for the rest of your life. So you want to make sure that foundation is stable and healthy as soon as possible.
And always remember, we're always asking if kids are children of divorce. We're already asking them to work way above their pay grade anyway, and so the more things that we can do to help make their life a little simpler is important. So, okay, we're back to simple things you can do in your marriage. Just to recap, go to bed at the same time, hold hands and walk side by side, hug and kiss every time you see each other, or when you greet each other. Maybe that's a better way to put it. Like, you don't have to hug and kiss every time they walk by you in the living room, but when you greet each other, hug and kiss. Do a weather check on your spouse every day or a couple of times a day. Just see how they're doing. The next one is develop common interests.
And this is so important, because what happens if you don't have any common interests, you wind up splitting apart. One of you goes fishing, or one of you goes to the movies, or one of you goes to the firing range, or goes hunting, and if the more time you spend apart, the harder it is to
be connected,
feel like you're together.
Yeah.
And so find something. If you don't have something, find something.
Right. And it doesn't have to be extravagant. It doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to be something that you can. Maybe you enjoy playing cards at night, or board games, or maybe you enjoy, watching. Stephen and I, he's learning to enjoy watching the Cleveland Browns with me, because for some reason I just think watching Baker's fun. But we enjoy watching football on Sunday afternoons together after church. We enjoy. What are some other things that we enjoy, Steve? We enjoy a good meal out.
Yep.
We enjoy that.
We enjoy supporting the non-chain restaurant community here in Oklahoma City.
It's fun, and so learning to have some common interests. My parents were fisher. They enjoyed fishing together. That was something that they both enjoyed.
We enjoyed not fishing together.
We enjoyed not fishing. Fishing's boring. Ugh, no fishing. Bad fishing. Bad fishing. but some people like it, not us.
Lot of folks around here think it's pretty slick, but we're just not two of them.
And so some people enjoy going to the lake. Whatever it is, do something that you enjoy. And if you can't engage in the activity that you enjoy at that particular moment, you can always talk about it. You know the last time we went fishing, we caught these fish and blah 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 blah. Or the last time, do you remember? Let's talk about that football game that we just got through watching. Or you can always talk about the things that you enjoy if you're not in a place where you can engage in them at the same time. But having those common interests is a simple way to make your marriage better.
And if you think, well, we're just different, we've just drifted apart, you wouldn't have been together as long as you've been together if you didn't have some things in common. So if you're struggling in that place, then take the challenge of finding something fun that you like to do.
Yeah.
Try bowling, try painting, try horseback riding, try, gardening. There's all sorts of things you can try and see if it clicks for you. That's, the beauty of spending the rest of your life with somebody is you get to constantly work on discovering new things about them that are fun and interesting and exciting and draw you to them.
So we have several people watching us on our Facebook Live this morning, and I just want to invite you guys, if you're watching, put in the comments there what is something fun that or common interest that you have with your spouse, right? Maybe you have something great, and some of the other people who are watching with us now, or maybe you're going to watch us live later, maybe they'll read the comments and you could give them a suggestion of something that works great for them. Like they could try something that you have in common with your spouse. That's like, that was a mouthful that didn't come out exactly right, but I think everybody gets the picture. What do you think?
I think so.
We have smart listeners.
Yeah, we do. So give us your ideas on fun things to do, and they may help us, they may help other people, whether they're watching live or watch later.
Right. And if you're watching later, you can still add them to the comments section.
Exactly.
So that's really cool. And you know what? We're in this together, right? So we can all help each other out.
Exactly. I mean, you're taking your time to tune in here because you're investing in your marriage.
Yeah.
And you can not only invest in your marriage, you can help invest in other people's marriage.
So Candace Faulkner just said that she and her spouse, they do morning walks and coffee together.
And God bless coffee. We covered that ground earlier. And walking is good. We used to walk all the time.
We did. We actually wrote a book while we were walking and talking. So a book came out of our walks and talks. So that's a great, Candace, thanks for sharing that, because that's free, it's healthy, it's simple.
You're prolonging your time with your spouse by getting exercise together.
That is great. That is a super great
And guess what? If you own a dog, the dog is going to be less of a pain in your neck later because it got a good walk in the morning.
Yeah.
And if your dog is old and lazy and doesn't want to go on a walk, you can give your dog some coffee so it has some energy so it can go on a walk with you. I'm not recommending large doses of caffeine for your dog, especially if it's a little tiny dog, because then its little heart would be going, and then you might have a cardiac event.
We would never give our dog coffee. He's the dog that needs the long walk so he could be tired the rest of the day. Okay, what we need, the next thing we want to talk about is something that I think is so important, and it's part of one of our life mantras, and that is focus on what's right.
You know what? Here's the deal. You're not perfect.
Say it isn't so.
Truth.
No, come on, brother.
I speak the truth to power.
Oh man.
And I'm not perfect, and
time.
no one out there in listener land, none of you are perfect either. So we're all going to have faults that we can find, and we all will have nits that we can pick with one another, but that's not gonna contribute to a long-term healthy relationship. But to the same token, we all do stuff right.
Right.
Even on our worst days, we'll do at least 4 things right.
Right. It's never always bad. And the problem is that whatever you focus on grows. And so if all you're focusing on is what's wrong in your marriage, you just eventually push anything good out of the picture.
Right.
So, but if you focus on what's right in your marriage, you can push the bad things out of the picture so they're not so big. Now, we're not saying you should never deal with problems. But what is your focus? Focus on what is good and what is right.
And it allows you to celebrate the things that your spouse does right. And it lets you know, it lets them know that you noticed.
And I think that when we always talk about it, that does two really important things in a relationship. When you focus on what's right in your spouse and you mention it to them, it does two things. One, it lets your spouse know what they're doing right and that you appreciate it and you notice. And it also allows you to hear yourself say, my spouse is doing these things really well. And so on the day when you're like, they don't ever do anything right, they're always terrible, you can recognize that's not true because you have this in your hard drive, all the things that they've done well. And so focus on what's right. We can choose our focus.
It is so important. Right now, we're going to focus on some great words from the folks who help support this program and bring you Crossover Radio.
Hey, go support our sponsors by shopping their business
or going to their church.
Or going to their church.
Or getting your hair done there.
Yeah,
or
so
buying your feed there. So we will be back in a flash here on Building Bridges with Steve and Melissa.
On Crossover Radio, radio with a purpose.
Hi, my name is Nick Tarter, and I'm one of the pastors at New Covenant Fellowship in Bethany, Oklahoma. We are located at 6736 Northwest 39th
Expressway. The love for macaroni and cheese has come to a whole new level at I Heart Mac and Cheese. Tastefully located at 12444 Northwest 10th, just east of Garth Brooks in Yukon, your taste buds will savor the clever Parmesan chicken and mac cheese or the macaroni and cheese sandwich. You can build your own dish or try one of the chef's specials from the menu. I Heart Mac and Cheese, open 11 to 9 on Sunday through Thursday, Friday and Saturday from 11 to 10. Call 577-6446.
We are located at
6736
Northwest 39th Expressway inside. Hi, my name is Nick Tarter, and I'm one of the pastors
at New Covenant Fellowship in Bethany, Oklahoma. We are located at 6736 Northwest 39th Expressway inside of Serve. No matter your age, background, or past church experience, we want to invite you to be a part of our family. We are a church where you can belong, even while you're still trying to figure out who God has made you to be. We meet each Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. right here at Serve for small groups, and at 10:45 a.m. for our community worship celebration. We also meet on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock p.m. to talk about gospel and what it looks like to live together as a Christian community. You can find out more about us by visiting newcovenantokc.org, or, of course, you can just come by for a visit. I look forward to personally greeting you when you do.
And we're back.
And we've eliminated the helium balloons from all of our sponsors. We'll not be having any of that anymore.
Yeah. So everyone's
sucking helium is dangerous. We shouldn't do that.
No, not good for your body. Every once in a while. We are back. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for not tuning out, but tuning in to Building Bridges with Steve and Melissa. We are so glad that you decided to join us because we enjoy having people who get involved in the conversation with us. More people is better. So
if you know somebody who's married and thinks that you think that they could benefit from a little bit of time spent with us on Wednesday mornings, let them know. Share the Facebook Live with them. Zip them a text. Encourage them to join us on Wednesdays.
And remember that every Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, we are live on Crossover Radio and on Facebook Live. And so, set your alarm. Put it on your iCal. Make it part of your calendar because we want you to join us.
One of the things that I ran across as we were going through stuff for this morning, and you mentioned iCals, is that it's beneficial in a relationship to coordinate your calendars.
Share a calendar. Yeah,
Share a
absolutely.
calendar, and technology's made that a piece of cake. And we got into it with our daughter the other day about what kind of calendar to use.
We like our Steve and I like our iCal. It's easy. It's friendly. We can use it. We're all on the same page all the time. But our daughter was not about using her iCal. She had another kind of app that she used for a shared calendar that she uses with her fiance. And so whatever calendar you choose, whatever one works best for you, we want to encourage you to use that one. And synchronize your calendar, because it's a really big deal. It's important to make sure that that you guys that you're synced up with your spouse, and that way you don't have a lot of surprises that way.
Yeah, you avoid little things like, well, I was at the restaurant for a half an hour and you didn't show up.
Right.
Well, because you thought it was at 6:30 and it was at 6, whereas if you had a shared calendar, that wouldn't be a thing. Or just to plug our daughter's program, she likes Time Tree.
Time Tree.
Because it has prettier colors. That's
Right.
one of the things she mentioned.
Yeah. So, but having a shared calendar is a simple way to bring. What it is? Having a shared calendar brings peace, and it eliminates some of the anxiety of marriage, of knowing where people are at and when they're going to be there, and helping people to make sure. Especially, there are couples that I know who are in blended family situations, and they have a shared calendar for the children with the children's other parents.
Yep.
And it that way everybody is aware of school activities, everybody's aware of what's going on with the children, when people are picking them up, when people are dropping them off, and stuff like that. And so having a shared calendar with your bonus, with all of the parents involved in blended families, is a way to really help that be a lot smoother than maybe it would be otherwise.
And it's, even if it's something that is maybe not convenient for you as far as attending the event, knowing it's there so you can call and wish them well. If the birth parent lives out of town and can't make every school play and award ceremony or baseball game, at least they can call and say, hey, I knock 'em dead slugger, I hope you get 4 hits today. I'm not going to be at the game, but I love you and I'm thinking of you. And it allows the most healthy relationships for your kids, and it avoids some potential aggravation between the parents, both whether it's bonus parents or birth parents. So it seems like a no-brainer, but I don't know how many times I've been told of an event and it's like, what time was it? Was it Tuesday or was it Thursday? I knew it was one of those days that started with a T.
Right.
And it's funny because I'll even now I'll ask you about stuff even though it's already on my iCal and I can just look at it up on my phone, and it's like, when are we supposed to see them? And you'll go right to your phone and it'll be right there and you'll tell me even though I already have the information and I just don't think to look it up.
Using technology to your advantage in your relationship is something that's really, technology is great. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's detrimental to your relationship, and knowing the difference is really important.
It's a tool, and it can be used for good or it can be used for evil.
Right. But one of the things that you can do is you could do FaceTimes or video chats instead of text messaging. If you're in a place where you can do that, where you have the opportunity to do that, look that way because a lot of times people get into fights because of text messages because they don't know the tone and intonation of the text message. You may be communicating something that's absolutely different than what your spouse is reading it as, depending on their mood or your last conversation with them or whatever. But if you use FaceTime or video chat instead of text messaging, then you get all of the information that you need, and they get to see you smile, and they get to see you happy, and they get to be encouraged. And so sometimes using your technology in that way is really important.
And they haven't come up with a sarcasm emoji yet, so you can let them know that you're just playing around.
Yeah. So using technology for your advantage is a simple way and eliminate the negative technology. Eliminate negative technology in that maybe you have your head in your phone too many hours a day, right? If you're in the same room with somebody, you probably should have should have more eye-to-eye contact than you have eye-to-screen contact.
And it's so funny because the more recent update on the iPhone, it gives me my screen time update for the week, and I was able to celebrate a 13% reduction in screen time because I don't want to let that get out of hand.
So Jessica, our daughter-in-law, actually is listening, and she shared lately they've enjoyed watching sports together, like Thunder Games baseball on TV. Dallas Cowboys was awesome. And
they got to go on the field and in the luxury suite, and
we're gonna love Summers on Our Boat, which is one of our new favorite one of their favorite places. So we're gonna join them on their boat. They just don't know that yet.
We'll just randomly, we were just in the neighborhood and we showed up at the lake at the same time you were at the lake. What a coincidence.
Yeah. So, so they have found ways to do things that they enjoy together. And none of those things necessarily have to involve their phone. There's something that they can do side by side, holding hands. There's something that they can do together. And they don't have to engage in their technology to do that, except for TVs if they're watching sports on TV. So the next thing we're going to talk about is apologizing. Just saying, I'm sorry, right? Because at any given moment, on any given day, we can all be a putz. But there's something powerful about just being willing to say, you know what, I was wrong, and I am sorry about that. Though I was wrong and I'm sorry, or I'm sorry I was wrong, are probably the 5 most powerful words that you can say to your spouse sometimes. And so learning to just apologize, and own your own mess. And
sometimes you need to take it a step further, and you need to say, I'm sorry, what I did was wrong. I understand why it made you feel this way, and when you take that extra step, it sort of drives home that the apology is sincere, that it was that thought was given to it, that you're not just saying it to get out of the doghouse.
Right, that's true. That's a good point.
And one of the things you have to do is you need to apologize and understand that you need to. If you're going to apologize, then you're ending that. You don't apologize and then resuscitate the argument later.
Right.
Because you didn't really mean. Because even though I was right and I said I'm sorry to stop the fight, but now I want to go back and make sure that you acknowledge that I was right, even though I apologized for it.
And said I was wrong. So apologies are good. A lot of times people will end a fight, but they'll never actually apologize for the fight or apologize. And you don't have to apologize for stuff that's not yours. You don't have to own somebody else's stuff, but it's really important that you own your own stuff. And so learning to fall on your own sword is super important, and learning to say you're sorry is a big deal. One more, show appreciation. Like, you say thank you to the dude that you will never see again at 7-Eleven who holds the door open for you. You say thank you to the checker at Walmart. And how many times do you actually use the word, thank you so much, I appreciate that, with your spouse, right? We need to just appreciate them. We need to appreciate what they do, and we need to verbalize that. We don't need to just think it in our head. If we think it in our head, it should come out of our mouth. And I think that that's a really important thing, because again, not only is your spouse hearing it, but you're hearing yourself say it too, and that matters to both of you.
And what it does is it really conveys that you are, just the other morning I got you your coffee. you said thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you know, it's something that I do pretty regularly, but sometimes it helps to hear that you notice and appreciate it, and you did, and so that makes me want to keep bringing you your coffee in the morning.
Right.
And that's a win for you.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure.
and all it takes is you know, two sentences, and boom, you get you know, kitchen to comfy chair service.
I know, and you know what? That's a really, really good point, Steve. Because when you appreciate somebody and when you celebrate what they do, it really does inspire them to continue to do that or to work harder at it. What we always say is what gets applauded gets repeated. And if your spouse is doing something that you enjoy, you should totally celebrate that. Because it encourages them to continue to do that thing. Because everybody likes to be appreciated.
So all you people who are listening, you need to put great comments in the comment section so we can feel appreciated for doing this. And we will be back and do it again next week at 8 o'clock Central Time here on Crossover Radio, Radio with a Purpose.
Is it time for us to
It's 9
over?
o'clock.
Wow!
Just flew by
this
like nothing.
Hour just flew by this morning. So thank you all for hanging out
You know,
with us this morning.
Thanks George and Meredith and Candace and Jessica and Joy
Nathan,
and all the folks who jumped in.
Becca and Denton Clay and Joy Turner. We had a lot of people jumping on this morning on our Facebook Live, and we just want to say thank you to that for all those people who are listening on the app, but they don't have the opportunity to maybe interact with us. Thank you too, because you know, we love that. Would you do us a favor if you listen to this? Would you share this with your friends and invite them to come and join us Wednesday mornings, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time here on Crossover Radio. This is Building Bridges with Steve and Melissa, and we will see you next
week.
Wednesday. Goodbye now.
Bye.
Beautiful